walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley, and that on this earth there will be peace, there will be justice, there will be human brotherhood. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? The banks are made of marble, with a guard at every door, and the vaults are stuffed with silver that the workers sweated for. Thousands of years, in every nation on this earth, men and women have put their lives on the line, believing that freedom and human dignity were often more important than life itself.
And apparently it's over. That ends really quick. That's a promo for it's a Bernie Sanders We Shall Overcome official video by Todd R. Lockwood Works. Hi everybody, how you doing? You're gonna laugh at me, and I know that Bad Wolf and I don't think Jesse's here, but Bad Wolf's laughing at me because, as far as we were concerned, we already started. Thought I'd hit start and YouTube was going, and I'd been talking to you guys, and then we got through the song, and I was saying hello, and then I realized that YouTube said error, and that we hadn't gone live at all, and so I asked her to ask you guys, and does it seem like they even noticed that we were live? And said, nope. So we started all over again. And here you go. So nice to see you. Hi, everybody. Now I will say hi to everybody. Hi, Peter, man, and JS Tube 36, and the Lone Peasant, Brian Campbell, Johan Manuel, Pab Daub, Cynical Girl, David Dunmere, Hannah Banana, B Banter, Peter, Electro, Annie. Wow, it's a lot of people. Dang, there's a lot of people here. I can't keep up. I can't keep up. My eyes are just gonna. Susan Brown, hi. I'm just gonna hit people. Hi, Steph. Thank you. I did practice. It was hilarious. It was pretty funny. Hi from Germany. Hi, Elizabeth. Nice to have you there. Very cool. We got some cool stuff to talk about. This is supposed to start in, I don't know, 4 minutes. But you know how these things go. They rarely start on time. We're looking at them right now. What do you think of the lower third? You like our new lower third from Steph? I think it's badass. I don't know if you saw that the other day, but I think it's great. Before I forget, because I know that establishment media hasn't been telling anybody. I know they've forgot. I want to make sure everybody knows this. This is new Bloomberg national poll. Bloomberg national poll showing that Clinton versus Sanders. Which of the following Democrats would be your first choice for president? Bernie Sanders by 49%. Hillary Clinton, 48%. Yes, read that again. That is a Bloomberg national poll where Bernie Sanders leads Hillary Clinton. Granted, it's by 1 point, but Bernie Sanders is beating Hillary Clinton nationally. All right? And I'm going to read. Hi there. Hi, Roberto. Hi, Genzy666. Kevin Dingman. Razor. Hi, M. Jansky. I'm terrible. You know what the thing is? I practice. Every time we read names, I practice. I get better. I do. I get better. Badass indeed. It is badass. All right. I'm just checking this over here. So that's pretty sweet. All right. That's pretty sweet. I want to read you guys the official statement from Michael Briggs because it's just that cool. So give me 1 second. We're going to read official statement, which you probably can't see with the way I have this cropped out, but I don't know what to tell you here. Yeah, read like that. The new Bloomberg Politics National Poll found that Sanders is now the first choice of 49% of those who already have voted or plan to vote in this year's Democratic contest. The former Secretary of State was the choice of 48%. Looking ahead to November's general election, Sanders was 24 points ahead of Republican frontrunner Donald Trump. He outpolled U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas by 12 points and held a 4-point lead over Ohio Governor John Kasich. Clinton, in sharp contrast, lost to Kasich by 4 points and held much narrower leads than Sanders over Cruz and Trump. Bernie Sanders by 49% nationally. That's the truth. That's the narrative that if establishment media were doing their jobs, that's the narrative they would be giving you right now, folks. That's the narrative. So just know that that is the truth. The tide is turning, Timbuktu. Hi, Kevin. How you doing? Reuters poll has Bernie way ahead with Dems independents. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the way it is. It's the truth. So we are doing what we need to do. We're very happy about it. Bernie is in Bernie territory tonight. Tomorrow he's actually in my town. He's in Portland, although I'm not going to be able to go see him. Yeah, so we're very excited about that. Wow, more than 200 of you here already. Thank you for being with me. Thank you. So that's fantastic news. We're going to talk about some other stuff, though, that is not, it's news. I don't know if I'd rank it under the fantastic category. If you guys know that Arizona was just an absolute disaster in terms of voter suppression. It's my understanding, as far as I'm concerned, it's the largest account of documented voter suppression in the history of the United States. Maybe not if you account civil rights and Jim Crow and all the other things. But I don't know. This to me is the in most recent times, certainly in my generation's time, the most egregious, evident voter suppression. And apparently the governor of Arizona is, saying we got to investigate, and there's a mayor saying we got to investigate, and now the woman who yesterday said that, well, too bad, is now saying, I'm sorry, I screwed up, and everybody wants to look into it. I don't know what they're going to do about it, okay? But everybody's, you telling me these things aren't going through? Gosh dang it! Hang on, it stopped moving. Hang on a second. This is hilarious. This is like I am some kind of this is like a comedy here. They're scrolling these through and then they stop. Why do they stop? I don't know. Where were we? I don't know. Maybe we were down here. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll skip. We'll go down to there and we'll keep going. I'm so concerned about what's going on in Arizona, and then I noticed that the same thing's been up there forever, and it's just like, hey, why has that been there? Not that I mind. I am hilarious. Thank you very much. It's very easy. I'm an Uber nerd, and Uber nerds they just kind of seem to be that way. I know I'm stuck on line 41. I'm stuck on line 41. I apologize, folks. And Gary Shandling just passed away. That's sad. I didn't want to know that. Darn. Hey, I was close. I was close to where we started. That's a good place. We'll go there. All right. Line 41. Thank you so much for that information. And it's unfortunate that Gary Shandling passed away. Thank you for letting me know that. All right. Moving on, folks. Let's get back to the Arizona voter suppression. So I guess in the good side of things, and I'm framing up, this is Bernie. We've got Bernie Sanders, did a little 2-minute, 24-second piece. Curtis, this is on Fox 10 Phoenix. And they've really, Fox 10 Phoenix, hey, David, has been really great about just covering Bernie Sanders. We don't know why. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Fox 10. And a lot of local stations have been giving us coverage of Bernie Sanders, and I think it's fantastic. I really appreciate that. And I want to play what Bernie has to say about what went down in Arizona, because it's horrendous. It's an embarrassment. So here's Bernie Sanders talking about that.
Democracy. Well, we got an email last night from a woman in Arizona who was waiting online for 5 hours to vote. for 5 hours to vote. Now, whether that, whatever the cause of that problem is, people in the United States of America should not have to wait 5 hours in order to vote. We do not know how many thousands of people who wanted to vote yesterday in Arizona did not vote. We don't know if they wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, or whoever. We don't know that. But in the United States of America, democracy is the foundation of our way of life. People should not have to wait 5 hours to vote. And what happened yesterday in Arizona is a disgrace. I hope that every state in this country learns from that and learns how to put together a proper election where people can come in and vote in a timely manner and then go back to work. Okay, that's about it. Any questions?
Senator, you spent quite a bit more time in Arizona than Secretary Clinton. Why do you think that she ended up?
Well, she got more votes. That was why she beat us. But,
Reason, or?
well, I mean, let's start off with the reason why we got 78% or 80% of the vote in Utah and Idaho. I can't give you that answer. I would surmise that it is similar to what has happened in other states around this country. We have done very well with young people. I am not aware of any exit polls, so if there were exit polls, I could give you a better answer. I'm not aware of those. We have done very, very well with young people. She has done better with older people. Now, what I still do not know, and what has confused me with regard to Arizona, to be honest with you, is last I heard, and if somebody wants to correct me, please do, that there were about 600,000 people who voted in Arizona. That is significantly less than we had anticipated, to be honest with you. And I think the larger the voter turnout, the better we do. Now, to what degree or whether it was significant or not, that there were people having to wait online for many, many hours, how many people simply walked away, were they thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds, I don't know. Maybe that was a factor as well. Yeah.
There you go. I don't know how many thousands were not able to vote, were turned away. We're told that their registration was changed from Democrat to Independent, right? We watched video of a woman who went into the registrar's office and said, "What the fuck?" Basically. She was very nice about it. And the clerk was like, "You know what? It sure looks like our computer made a mistake," right? The computer made a mistake, folks. I wonder how many mistakes that computer made with how many other thousands of people's registrations. It was a disgrace what happened. And I bet the numbers would have told a very different tale had they been counted correctly from the get-go and had people not had to spend 5 hours in line to cast their vote in this democracy. It's not even a democracy. I don't even know why I use that word. It's not a democracy. But you know, that's what Bernie has to say. Anyway, I'm just looking here. I'm just looking at your comments. So that happened. That happened. All right. And now it looks like everybody's saying, "Whoa, horribleness. We're gonna look into this. We're gonna address it one way or the other." I don't know if it's gonna mean anything as far as votes for Bernie. You know, I don't know if it'll mean anything as far as putting privileged white people in jail. I doubt that Helen Purcell will face any charges, although they claim they want to go after people. If they were going to go after people, they'd have to pretty much get rid of the entire Arizona, establishment echelon, starting with the governor. Right? Senator Martin Quesada, who I believe is in LD 31, don't quote me on that, but he's one of the districts in Arizona, said there were no polling stations in his district. None. Zero. Predominantly Latino. None. Right? That's a failure of government. Huge failure of government. Actually, all it is a Koch brothers run Republican government. That's what happens when you let your rights be removed systematically and they lie to you and you have no control over your government. Sekmara, the rally is supposed to start right now. And it did. There it is. Well, thank you, Bernie Sanders speeches and events. Here you go, guys. We just got the image up from Bernie Sanders speeches and events. Give me 1 second here, and we'll kick in some audio. Oh my, that was awful loud. He's got the heavy metal going quite Sorry about that. You're going to hear some... Oh, sorry about that. There we go. All right, he is just cranking the metal tunes. He, she, I don't know who Bernie Sanders speeches and events is. I shouldn't assume. Whoever they are, we really appreciate the fact that they're bringing us this stream right here. All right, and we've got some rocket music in the background. You know, and there you go. Let me know how let me know how the audio is. Let me know if you can still hear it. Let me know if you can't. Let me know if you want it taken away, left in. I just have to be careful when, so do these guys. They have to be careful when they kick in any music, like Prince. Friggin' Prince's song. Just those guys. We can't use anything of those guys. They're not nice. It's just all over the place. Slayer fans for Bernie. Is that Slayer that we're listening to? Anybody know? Anybody know? I don't know. I'm interested. I haven't heard Slayer in a long time. That's band of my youth. Slayer. I'm old. So is Slayer. Sorry, unless they've added some new people. Yeah, packed house. Here, check that out. You don't need to look at me. Here, I'll frame it like this. There we go. There we go. How's that? Welcome, everybody. As soon as it goes live, we've got ourselves a Bernie Sanders rally. And tomorrow's going to be really cool. Tomorrow we have 4 things going on. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to go over here to comments. I see some comments and questions. Did I run out of comments here? Did I run through them all? I did. Yay. All right, hang on. Let me mark them off. Mark off where I am here before I forget. Let's get down here and all right. Let's just answer the comments, questions, talk to everybody. I don't remember what I was going to do before that now. All right, here we go. Starting at the top. Brian Campbell, all 3 states on Saturday are closed primary. Okay, that sounds good. I actually don't know, and I don't have the thing up to look at it, and I apologize. I probably should. It's Alaska, Hawaii, and Washington. And Washington, I believe, is the state they're focusing on the most. I know Jane Sanders was out in Hawaii recently, and I don't know about Alaska at all, really. But my understanding is that they're slated to go Sanders. I have no idea if they're open or closed. So you know better than I do, Brian. I apologize for not even being a decent source on that and just wasting your time completely with telling you I don't know. What else? Brian Porter, the new lower third is badass. Yes, it is. It most definitely is. You know what I can run here? Here. This is just so we can have it in there. There's the Twitter one. We'll run that one. I'm tracking For the People on that one. Shirley Vick. Hi, John from Philly. First time chatting on here. Well, hi, Shirley Vick. Welcome. And I'm glad you're here. This is an engagement broadcast. So we have comment monitors, moderators that are in the chat with you, and they're going to grab statements, questions, your quotes, and they put them in a spreadsheet, and we run that in a lower third. Sometimes I run Twitter like I'm running right now. Sometimes I run the lower third with your questions. Always, I'm having a conversation with you, and we're going to interact. I'm going to answer questions. We're going to have a good time. I'm just one human being. You're a whole bunch. We're all on the web together, watching Bernie Sanders and working together for the political revolution. The goal is to change our democracy. And so this is what we do. Thank you for being here from Philly. Nice to have you represent. And yeah. Sandy M. John, what's your opinion on Jill Stein? Okay. Jill Stein. No. I think Jill is great because I don't really know all that much about her other than she represents, I'm going to say, the Green Party, right? And I'm all about that. I think Jill would be wise to just endorse Bernie Sanders. I think she did. Didn't she just, maybe, I can't remember. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Maybe she just made a nice statement about Bernie. I'm not so sure about that, but I would really like Jill to just join the movement. It's time. I do, at this point, I used to say that if Bernie wasn't put on the, if Bernie wasn't the Dem nom, I might vote for Jill Stein. I've changed my position on that. If Bernie isn't the chosen, I will write him in. I'm a Bernie or bust. That's the way I'm going to be. I think everybody needs to be there. I think when you see nationally that the tide has turned, that we are now, Bernie is now nationally favored. And understand, this is by Dems who have voted or plan to vote, right? It says Dems who have already cast their vote or plan to vote. 49% for Sanders. So that's just currently, that's a snapshot currently. The trend, if you look at it from the beginning of this, let's go back 8 months, 10 months. I don't even know how long we've been doing this here. The trend has been a steady increase in Sanders, a decrease in Hillary. That trend has not wavered since the beginning. That trend will continue. So I'm not worried about it. But what do I think of Jill? I think she's great. And I think she'd be wise to just fully endorse Bernie and jump on, start working with him on environmental policy, because I don't think his policy is strong enough as written. I think he's well aware of that. But I think he also knows that he can't go creating anything more drastic, like the World War II style attack on climate that he spoke of. He spoke to Jake Tapper on that one of the forums that they had, right? And you know, Jake, how soon are we going to get rid of coal? As soon as we can, Jake. As soon as we effing can, which is not what Bernie said. He was more like, as soon as we can. But, you know, the message was clear. And he said, we need to have a World War II. I don't know if he said World War II, but he said, we need to attack climate. It's an enemy. It's an enemy. We've created a vicious enemy. We did this. We created a vicious, unwelcome environment that is getting worse, and we need to fix it. We need to go after it like a D-Day. We need to go after it with veracity and velocity and veracity and all the other V words I can think of. All right? Well, no, maybe not all of them. Anyway, there we go. Environment. I think she's great. I think she needs to go full Bernie. That's what I think. God. That's it. All these people that are waxing away, that aren't sure whether to go endorse Bernie. That needs to be a hashtag. Go full Bernie. All right. Jay, New York. Tomorrow is the last day to register as a New Yorker in New York for April 19th primary. Yes, please, New Yorkers, please get out to vote for Bernie. I understand that Hillary is all thinking she's happy out there, and please, just, please, you guys, register. Tomorrow is the last day you can do it. Get out there, register. I know the people in the Bernie camp out in New York busted their ass. We worked with some of them. We did a training in caucus. I know these guys. They have worked their, they have worked really hard to get out the vote. So please, guys, register. You've got till tomorrow to do it. We want this to happen. I want New York. I want home state for Hillary number what? 1, 2, 3, or 1 of 3. We want that to go for Bernie Sanders. That's what we want, folks. That is what we want. All right, that's it. I think I caught up with all your questions. And he stopped playing tunes. It's not as much fun without the tunes going. You know? Maybe that means things are going to start soon. That would be great. Oh, we're out of We the People. So let's go up here. All right, good deal. Good deal. Here's what I want to do. Let's talk about some other news. Here, look at the crowd for a second. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? You worry for New York. Why? Why do we worry for New York? What do you guys think? Is New York not going to be so good? You think New York is going to be like Arizona, Nicola? Do we think it's that unorganized? Anybody here from New York? Give us a a heads up on that. Tell us in chat what's going on. Alaska closed caucus. Thank you, Truth Seeker. Hang on. I'm gonna while we're on the subject, why don't we kill the audio on the rally here, and let's listen to this video. This is Phone Banking 101. This is the most recent video we found. So we're just going to run through this, and apparently it's a great video. It's 6 minutes, 45 seconds. So let's everybody get your phone bank on. Here we go.
Phone Banking 101. A lot of people get really intimidated by phone banking. All phone banking is calling voters to help them remember to vote and maybe swing a couple undecideds over to Bernie's side. So, I'm going to walk you through the easy steps to phone bank. First of all, we need to hop on our laptop. You can also use a tablet However, the Bernie dialer will not work on Internet Explorer or on Safari, so make sure you are not using either of those browsers. Let's get started. We need to go to berniesanders.com/phonebank. Now, we're going to see a big splash page that says how we can call voters for Bernie. Once you've gotten to the berniesanders.com/phonebank page, you may see an option at the top to get online live training. If you want to, you should definitely click that. Once you scroll down, you're going to see many different options for where you can call. If you do not live in a state that has a primary coming up soon, click on the Priority Call button. If you do not see the Priority Call button listed, pick one of the states that is listed as coming up next. Once you click on the Priority Call button, you'll be taken to a page that will help you get started. First of all, if you look on the right-hand side at the bottom, you'll see there's a phone banking live chat. So if you ever get stuck or confused, there's a resource where you can talk to a Bernie supporter who will help you right away. Let's look at the right-hand side of the screen. We have a calling script, a step-by-step guide, and login credentials. If you feel nervous, you can read the step-by-step guide before you begin. Let's start by taking a calling script and opening it in a new tab. Once we have that open, we need to keep it.
All right, guys, it looks like they already started with the event. I'm going to switch over to that. We're going to click on audio and we can finish this another time. Hang on, here we go.
In the Washington State Legislature still paying off my student loans, and I hear you. Bernie hears you. Graduation should be a time of happiness. It should not be a time when you have to choose between the career you want to pursue or whether or not you can start a family or purchase a home. From childhood hunger to campaign finance, from corporate welfare to climate change, our country is walking a dangerous path. Bernie Sanders is leading a political revolution that can get us back on track. That's why I'm proud to come here today and publicly endorse Bernie Sanders for the next President of the United States. We're standing up to bigotry and hatred and advancing racial equity, and we're fighting to hold corporations accountable and make sure they pay their fair share. So I'm here to support Bernie, but I want you to know something. I'm also here to support you. I'm so incredibly proud of you for the movement you have built, and I want you to know that a new generation of progressive legislators will have your back. But it is so very clear we can't do this without you. This is a grassroots effort, but it's more about filling up arenas and stadiums for rallies. Democracy is a participatory sport, and we need each and every one of you to attend your precinct caucus Saturday. And guess what? There's a lot of work that can still be done between now and Saturday. So if you can not just commit to attending your caucus, but you can take just one more action. Ask that neighbor who has talked to you about supporting Bernie if you can carpool with them to caucus. Go down to the Monroe office and see if you can do get out to caucus calls or door knocks. Commit to taking Bernie's message directly to the doorsteps and dinner tables of caucus goers. And with that, it is my distinct honor to introduce someone who will deliver on a promise to give everyone in Spokane a chance to thrive. The next President of the United States, Bernie Sanders.
Let me thank Abigail Crawford. Let me thank Deanna Brown and Marcus Riccelli for that wonderful introduction. Marcus, thank you so much. Okay, let's get to business. Here is the business. Number one, we are all going to do everything that we can to make certain that a Republican does not occupy the White House. And in order to do that, we need the strongest Democratic candidate possible. And you are looking at him. Now, you know, campaigns are funny things, and a lot of people say a lot of things. And there are people who, for very good reasons, like Hillary Clinton, and that's fine, people who like me, and that's fine. But by 6 points to John Kasich, we were beating him by 6 points. Ted Cruz is running hard. Ted Cruz was tied 48-48 with Hillary Clinton. We beat Cruz by 13 points. So I think that is one issue that we got to clear the air with. We are the strongest candidate. And if people are worried about that, as they should, we're going to work together to get the nomination. Number two, we are gaining a lot of momentum. Just in the last week, we have closed the gap with Secretary Clinton by about 25 delegates. We won overwhelming, unbelievable victories in Utah and Idaho with over 75% of the vote. And while we lost in Arizona, you add all that together and you add Democrats abroad, I think we gained about 25 delegates in the last week. And now we are coming to the great state of Washington on Saturday morning. What we have found in this campaign is something very interesting, and that is we do well when there is a large voter turnout. We do poorly when there is a low voter turnout. In other words, when working class people and young people, people who have not often been involved in the political process, stand up and come out, we do well. But when they don't, we don't. So I would ask all of you on Saturday morning, I guess the caucuses begin at 10, get there earlier, bring out your friends and your uncles and your aunts. Let's have a great turnout, a record-breaking turnout in Washington on Saturday morning. Also, I did want to mention to you all that just today we received the endorsement, and I'm very proud of this, of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union. They're one of the great and important unions on the West Coast, and we thank them for their support, as we do many of the other unions that are supporting us. Okay. Now, what this campaign is about and why I believe we are doing as well as we are is we are treating the American people with intelligence. And maybe even more radically, for modern politics, we are telling the truth. Now, what the truth is, whether it's in our personal lives or whether it's in our political lives, the truth is not always pleasant. So I can come before you and tell you some jokes and tell you about all the people who are supporting me. I mean, we have some music and all that stuff, and I get votes. But that's not what we're trying to do. What we are trying to look at the
harsh realities of American life. And by the way, those realities do not appear on television very often. And one of the points that we have made throughout this campaign is when we deal with the reality of American life, you can't count on media to tell you that reality. You have got to go into your own hearts and souls and determine what that reality is. You make that reality, you analyze that reality, not the stuff that you see on television, because that often is not the reality facing this country. So in a sense, in a very profound sense, what this campaign is redefining reality. All right, what is reality in America today? Number one, everybody here in this room believes in democracy. We appreciate so much, and I speak to you as the former chairman of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, we appreciate so much the sacrifices men and women in the military have made for so long in defending American democracy. I was in San Diego the other day, and I was introduced to a man in a wheelchair. I believe he is in his late 90s, and he fought in World War II. And you get chills in your own body meeting somebody whose courage has helped save America. But when we talk about democracy and the sacrifices that so many people have made, here is a truth that everybody here has got to appreciate, not a pleasant truth. And that is, as a result of this disastrous Supreme Court decision on Citizens United, we now have a corrupt campaign finance system which is undermining American democracy. Democracy, we have had a long, long road that we've traveled since the inception of this country in terms of what democracy means. You all know that when this country was founded, the only people who could vote were wealthy white males. And the struggle for hundreds of years has been to expand democracy. That has been the struggle. And yet today, as a result of this Citizens United Supreme Court decision, what we are seeing is billionaires buying elections. And what this campaign is about is asking the American people not to take what we see in front of us, the status quo of our lives. Don't believe that that has to be the status quo in years to come. We can make change. So when you read in the paper that the Koch brothers or some other billionaires are spending hundreds of millions of dollars, do not accept that as what American politics should be about. When billionaires buy elections or try to buy elections, that is not democracy, that is oligarchy. And we will not allow that to take place. And when we talk about democracy, it is important for all of us to know that we as a nation, one of the great democracies in the world, today we have one of the lowest voter turnouts of any major country on earth. And despite that, what you're seeing all over this country is Republican governors trying to suppress the vote. What we want to do is get more people to participate in the political process. They want fewer people. So they are passing all kinds of legislation that makes it harder for people of color, makes it harder for young people, for old people, for poor people to vote. And that is absolutely disgraceful. And I say to those Republican governors, those cowardly Republican governors, if you are afraid to participate in a free and fair election where everybody can vote, you should get out of politics and get another job. Now, just give you an example, and I honestly do not know, and hopefully there will be an investigation on this, and I would like to see this investigation. As you know, just on Tuesday, there was an election, primary election in Arizona. People were waiting online for 5 hours to cast a ballot. 5 hours. We received an email from a friend of a staff member of mine, waiting online 5 hours, and there were people behind her. Now, whether this was intentional or it was just incompetence, I don't know. But when people show up at the polls, they should be allowed to vote and not have to spend half their day waiting for that. And that is why, together, one of our great missions, and it ties into everything else, if we have a large voter turnout, if working class people and young people participate, in November of 2014, the last general election we had, 63% of the American people didn't vote, 80% of young people didn't vote. All right? And surprise, surprise, Republicans won a landslide victory, and that's what they want. They want people not to vote. They want big money to buy elections. Well, on Saturday, let's send them a message. We are going to vote. There is a lot of talk lately about Supreme Court nominees, and I certainly support the president's effort to get his nominee seated. But let me say this. The nominees that I will bring forth to the Supreme Court will have to be loud and clear. They will vote to overturn Citizens United. But when we talk about what's going on in this country, not just a corrupt campaign finance system, not just a low voter turnout, it is also a rigged economy. A rigged economy. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is what you're, again, not going to see terribly often on television. And that is that we have the most grotesquely unfair distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth. Now, you know, in every society, and probably it always will be, they're going to be rich and poor and people in the middle. But here is what you got today in America. You have the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% now owning almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. And if you think about it, that is pretty unbelievable. And then you got the top 20 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million Americans. Now, when you talk about the rigged economy, it is not only distribution of wealth and income. That's part of it. But it is the fact that the rich get richer while many people in the middle class and working class get poorer. Let me give you one example of what I mean. And I could give you a dozen. But here's one example. The wealthiest family in America is who? Anyone know? Good. Smart group of people. Walton family owning Walmart is the wealthiest family in America. The wages that they pay their workers are so low that many of their employees are forced to go on food stamps, Medicaid, and subsidized housing. Here is what a rigged economy is about. Who pays in higher taxes for that Medicaid and food stamps for those workers? You do. So here is one of many examples where the middle class pays more in taxes to subsidize the company owned by the wealthiest family in America. That's absurd. Working families should not have to subsidize a multi-billionaire family. And I say to the Walton family, you know, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. And again, when we think outside of the box, ask yourself this question. In the last 20 or 30 years, there has been an explosion of technology. Every worker, well, not every, but almost every worker in America produces more than those who came before them. So if you think about it for a second, if I give you a tool that makes you much more productive, one of two things might happen. You're producing more, you're going to work fewer hours, or you'll work the same hours and make more money. The truth is, for many millions of people in this country, the very opposite is true. Despite increased worker productivity, people are working longer hours for lower wages. You got all people in my state. It is certainly not uncommon in Vermont, and I suspect it's common here in Washington. People working not one job, they're working two jobs, they're working three jobs. We don't talk about it at all. Media does not discuss it, but people in America, our people, work the longest hours of any people in the industrialized world. Japanese are very hard workers. We work longer hours than the Japanese. You got mom out working. You got dad out working, you got the kids out working, and yet 58% of all new income generated today goes to the top 1%. So here is a radical idea. You ready for a radical idea? Together, what we will do is create an economy that works for everybody, not just the 1%. And we know what we have to do. We know what we have to do. Among other things, we have got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And we are going to tell the very, very wealthy who are doing phenomenally well and large multinational corporations, guess what? You are going to start paying your fair share of taxes. But when we talk about basic and fundamental problems facing our country, it is the state of our democracy and a corrupt campaign finance system. It is a rigged economy in which for 30 years, middle class has been declining. We have 47 million people living in poverty. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. But it is not just that. Then you got to go to another issue, and that is a broken criminal justice system. So what we've got to think about there is, why is it that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, that is the United States today, why do we have more people in jail than any other country? Why do we have 2.2 million people in jail, and why are we spending $80 billion a year to lock up fellow Americans? All right, a lot of reasons for it, but let me start off with one. Again, this is an issue you don't see on media, not at all. So the point that I'm making over and over today, we have got to go into our own hearts and souls and say, what is the reality of America? So here's one of the aspects of the reality of America, not talked about at all on media. And that is that for kids who graduate high school, not drop out, between 17 and 20, unemployment rates are unimaginably high. If you are a white kid, 33%. A Latino kid, 36%. African American kid, 51%. We have millions of young people today not in school, not on jobs, not working in jobs, hanging out on street corners, and some of them are getting into trouble. So here is radical idea number 2, and that is we're going to invest in our young people in education and jobs, not jails. Not jails, not incarceration. It is a lot cheaper, it really is, to send a young person to the University of Washington than to lock him up. And that's what I would prefer to do. The criminal justice, and for more information, go to my website, berniesanders.com, because this is a very important issue, a lot of aspects to it. But in addition to that, all of us are tired of seeing on television unarmed people being shot by police officers. Now, I have been a mayor for 8 years, and I've worked with police officers all over my state and all over this country. The truth is, the vast majority of police officers are honest, and they are hardworking, and they have a very difficult job. It is not easy being a police officer today, but like any other public official, when a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. We have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make police departments look like the diversity of the communities that they serve. And here is another issue. It's controversial, but this is what I believe. And that is, we have to rethink the so-called war on drugs. What does that mean? What it means is that over the last 30 years, millions of people in this country have received police records for possession of marijuana. And a police record is no laughing matter, because if you're young, you go walking into an employer, you want a job, and the employer asks you about your record, you got to talk about it. And that makes it harder for you to get that job. If you don't get a job, you don't have income. If you don't have income, you're going to do something in order to survive. Now, right now, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, some of you may know it, most of you probably don't, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug right alongside of heroin. That does not make sense to me, and that's why I've introduced legislation to take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Further, when we talk about drugs, we have a very serious problem in my state of Vermont, neighboring New Hampshire, all over this country. We have an epidemic of addiction to opiates, addiction to heroin, and we are losing people every single day to overdoses. People are overdosing. Now, what I think is, when we look at substance abuse and addiction, we have got to look at it as a health issue, not a criminal issue. Which means, again, think about, if you don't do that, you got people who are addicted, they're going to go out stealing and robbing to feed their addiction, all kinds of problems. They need treatment, not jail cells. Now, this campaign is doing very well because we are listening not to campaign contributors. You cannot believe how much time candidates spend out raising money from the very, very wealthy rather than talking with their constituents. And this campaign is talking to the people. This is what we're hearing. We're hearing from working people, whether they're black or white or Latino, and what they are saying, they can't make it on $8 or $9 an hour. And that is why we have got to raise the national minimum wage to $15 an hour. This is not a radical idea. The idea that somebody who works 40 or 50 hours a week should not be living in poverty. That's what our vision is. Not a radical idea, it's an American idea. This campaign is listening to women. And what women are telling us is they are tired of going into an office or going into a company and earning 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. They want the whole damn dollar. They're right. And I know that every man here today will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity for women workers. And I'll tell you something else. Right now, you got a lot of Republicans going around this country talking about family values. They love families. Everybody here has got to know what they mean by family values. And what they mean is that no woman in this room, in this state, in this country, should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. What they mean is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to be married. I disagree. This campaign is listening to young people. And I have been overwhelmed by the number of young people who are now getting involved in the political process. Young people who understand they are the future of this country and they want to shape that future. And young people are telling me, they say, Bernie, how does it happen that throughout modern history, certainly the case in my family, what the American dream has been that parents work really hard so their kids can do better than the parents. And that's the case in my family. We didn't have a whole lot of money. My dad worked really hard. My brother and I have done better. But for the first time in the modern history of this country, if we do not get our act together, the younger generation will likely have a lower standard of living than their parents. That's right. And we got to ask why that is. And the second thing that young people are saying to me is everybody told us, our parents told us, our teachers told us, media told us, everybody told us that we need to get the best education that we can, right? That education is obviously important to us as human beings. Learning is inherent in who we are as humans. But on top of that, in a competitive global economy with all kinds of new technology, we have to get all of the education and training that we need in order to get the good jobs that are out there. And then young people say to me, well, we did that. We did what we were supposed to do, but now we find ourselves in $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in student debt. How many people here have student debt? Whoa, okay. So the question that we have got to ask ourselves is, why are we punishing people for doing what they should be doing as Americans? Our job as a society is to say to all people, not just young people, middle-aged people. Talked to a woman the other day, 45, 50 years of age. She's in college. And that's what we should be doing. We should be encouraging people to get all of the education that they need, not punishing them. So that means to me, and here's the other point, think this one through. 100 years ago or so or longer, very smart people, brave people said, you know what? All of our children, not just the wealthy, should be able to get an education. And we are going to make public schools free for first grade through 12th grade. And that was an extraordinary development. But today, in 2016, the world is different than it was 50 years ago. 50 years ago, you had a high school degree, you were in pretty good shape. You can go out and get a good job. The world, the economy, technology has changed. And that is why I believe that when we talk about public education today, it is not good enough to talk about first grade through 12th grade. It must include free tuition at public colleges and universities. This is not a radical idea. It's not something, I thought of the other day. This exists in Germany today. It exists in other European countries. It exists in Scandinavia. They are smart enough to be investing in their young people so that the economy they will have in future years will be strong. We should do the same thing. And then we have, in addition, we have millions of people today carrying horrific levels of student debt, which they are paying off over decades. I talked to a guy in Nevada many, many months ago. He has been paying off his student debt for 25 years. That debt is higher today than it was when he took it out. I talk to people who have become doctors and dentists, and God knows we need a lot of doctors and we need a lot of dentists. They are leaving school hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So what we have got to do is give those people the opportunity to refinance their loans at the lowest possible interest rates, substantially lowering student debt. This campaign is listening to our Latino brothers and sisters.
I don't know what happened, folks. We just lost Fox 10 Phoenix. Ah, there's the swirling circle. Let's hope it comes back. I've got some exciting news while we wait. I want to let you know that I just see a report coming in that the DNC will allow Tim Kenova access to the voter file in the race against it's the FDP. I'm sorry, the FDP, which I'm guessing is the Florida Democratic people, will allow Tim Kenova to access the voter file in race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This just from Florida Politics. And as you can see, we've lost the Fox 10 feed completely. Well, maybe now is a good time just to come on and talk about that. As soon as I see it come back on, I don't know what happened to the feed. Maybe we'll have to switch to the other one. You could hear an odd hum that started to kick in, and then they just cut out. So I don't know what happened, folks. I apologize for that. But good news for Tim Kenova in Florida. Give me a second here. I could pull up that article. We could look at that. But I also want to check the other rally feed. It's running really slow. He's having problems there too. It looks like, my guess is something happened over there network-wise, because the other stream we had of it is just really chopped up and crap. So I'm not sure I want to cut to that. I'm going to stay. Wow. I'm surprised. That sucks. That's really unfortunate. Let me try to reload it again. I'm sorry, folks. That was a really great speech. Really good, clear signal. You guys have somewhere else you're going here? Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, this happens. I'm sorry, guys. This is what happens. Fox 10 is good. It's amazing. Believe it or not, Fox 10 is great. They've been delivering the majority of our feeds lately. While we've had other copies, other feeds presented, the majority of our feeds have been from Fox 10, and it looks like something happened to their equipment. I don't know what's going on, and it's too bad. It's unfortunate. I'm gonna drop that down. Let me see what the audio is on this guy. Let me see where we're at on this one. We have a different stream, but it's coming from an MSNBC national feed, and the problem with using that, folks, is I usually get nailed by that. National feeds, no matter what's done to them, cropped and stuff, I usually have a problem. But let me see if we can't just.
Inadequate education to the children. How does it happen that in the inner
We'll run it.
cities
We'll see what
unemployment
happens.
rates are sky high, and that a significant number of people end up in jail rather than...
And also, I don't know where they were in the feed, how far delayed or ahead they were, so.
They are absolutely right. It is time to change our national priorities. It is time to invest in our inner cities rather than give tax breaks to billionaires.
Well, that didn't last long over there. Oh, here we go.
That we have treated Native Americans is absolutely disgraceful. And this goes back to the before, obviously, before the beginning of our country. Native American people have been cheated, have been lied to, their treaties have been abrogated, and now is the time to change our policies toward the Native American people. Just think for a moment what we owe the first Americans in terms of the best aspects of our culture. Who has taught us more about respect for the environment and working with nature, not against nature? If elected president, there will be a fundamental change in the relationship of the U.S. government to the Native American people. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment, and I will tell you what most of you already know, and that is the scientists are virtually unanimous. Climate change is real. And it is caused by human activity, and it is already doing devastating harm in this country and around the world. And what the scientists tell us, if we do not get our act together in a very
Can you
short
feel the burn? The Bernie Sanders campaign thinks you can, so much so that they've announced the man himself is coming back to
What we are going to see is more drought, floods, extreme weather disturbances, acidification of the ocean, rising sea levels, and more international conflict as people fight for limited natural resources. In my view, and this is not just an American issue, this is a global issue, we have the moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable to future generations. And that is my view, is that health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. And my view is there is something absurd when the United States is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people. Today, despite the gains of the Affordable Care Act, and I'm on the committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act, 29 million people still have no health insurance. Many of you and millions of other Americans are underinsured, something we talk about very little. That means you have high deductibles and you have high copayments. Is that right? And that means if you don't have any money and you have a high deductible or a high copayment, you may not go to the doctor when you should. And all of that adds up to the fact that we lose thousands and thousands of people every year who die because they walk into the doctor's office too late. And on top of all of that, you got the drug companies ripping us off in an unconscionable way, charging us by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Today in America, if you can believe it, this is how crazy it is. 1 out of 5 Americans who gets a prescription from a doctor cannot afford to fill that prescription. There are people who are dying because they cannot afford the medicine that they need, and yet last year, the 3 major drug companies earned $45 billion in profit. And then on top of all of that, the United States ends up spending much, much more per capita than do the people of any other country. 3 times, almost 3 times what the British spend, 50% more than the French, much more than the Canadians. And that is why I believe that this country must move toward a Medicare for all single-payer program. And when we do that, we're going to save the average middle-class family thousands of dollars a year in health care costs. Now, let me just take a brief moment to talk to you a little bit about some of the differences that exist between Secretary Clinton and myself. Number one, I am proud to tell you I don't have a super PAC. I don't want a super PAC. We raise our money, our campaign funding, in a way that for modern politics is revolutionary. And that is, we have now received well over 5 million individual contributions. That is more contributions than any candidate in the history of this country up until this point. Anybody here know what the average contribution is? That's right, $27. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment and the significance of that. The significance is that we are the only campaign out there that gets its financial support from working people and the middle class, not powerful special interests. To paraphrase Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, this is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people. Now, if we believe, as I do, that money in politics today has an unbelievably corrupting influence, it is important to look at how Secretary Clinton gets her campaign funds. She has several super PACs. Her largest one in the last reporting period indicated that they had received $25 million in one filing period from special interest, $15 million from Wall Street. As many of you may know, she has also given speeches on Wall Street for $225,000 a speech. Now, for $225,000 a speech, probably a pretty good speech, don't you think? Probably a speech which will reveal the darkest secrets of humanity and move us in an entirely new direction. Probably a speech written in Shakespearean prose. And that is why I think that that great speech should be made available to all of the people. And Secretary Clinton has said, well, she will make her transcripts available if everybody else does. So, let me announce to you today, I am prepared to release all of the transcripts of the speeches I gave to Wall Street. There weren't any. I don't know why, can't figure out. Wall Street has not invited me to give a speech for $225,000. I'm waiting. I got my cell phone on here. I am waiting for that call. But probably the reason I haven't gotten that call is that if I did go before Wall Street, I would release the transcript. And what that transcript would say is that at a time when 3 out of the 4 largest banks in America are bigger than they were when we bailed them out because they were too big to fail, now is the time to break up the major banks on Wall Street. Secretary Clinton and I disagree very fundamentally on foreign policy issues. We were both in Congress. She was in the Senate. I was in the House in 2002 when the most important foreign policy debate of modern history took place, and that was the war in Iraq. I listened very carefully to what Bush and Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and all these guys had to say. I didn't believe them. I voted against the war. Secretary Clinton heard the same evidence. She voted for the war. And in a debate that we had a couple of months ago, she actually mentioned how pleased she was to get very kind words from former Secretary of State Kissinger. And that maybe tells you what her foreign policy is about. I happen to think Kissinger was one of the most destructive secretaries of state in American history. And trust me, he will not be saying very kind words about my Secretary of State. We have in this country today a major crisis in terms of clean drinking water. I believe that as soon as possible, we have got to phase out fracking. I think the evidence is overwhelming that fracking is harming our aquifers. Secretary Clinton has not only supported fracking, but as Secretary of State, tried to push that technology on other countries. We have a disagreement on that issue. Donald Trump will not become President of the United States. And he will not become president because the American people will not elect someone who insults Mexicans, who insults and denigrates Muslims. And let me be very clear. We are at war today against ISIS, a barbaric terrorist organization. We are not at war against the Muslim religion. And I do not want and will not tolerate Muslims in this country living in fear from hate language and terrible actions. Donald Trump will not be elected president because the American people will not vote for somebody who insults women. Who insults veterans. Who insults African Americans. And I hope everybody here has not forgotten the disgraceful role that Trump played in the so-called birther movement. Sometimes this was before he was a candidate, but let's not forget that. What that effort was about, which was an ugly, vicious effort, was to delegitimize President Barack Obama. That's what it was. In other words, what it wasn't saying we disagree with Obama. That's fine. We all disagree with everybody. You can do that. But what he was trying to tell the American people is that Barack Obama, our first African-American president, was not a legitimate president of the United States. That was a disgraceful act. Now, I have always found it interesting that my dad, as I mentioned before, came to this country from Poland. I am the son of an immigrant. Barack Obama is the son of an immigrant. His father was born in Kenya. I find it very interesting. Nobody has asked me for my birth certificate. Think it might have something to do with the color of my skin. I think so. Trump will not be elected president because the American people instinctually, in a very deep sense, understand that bringing our people together, black or white or Latino, Asian American, Native American, bringing our people together, gay and straight, men and women, people born in America, people who have come to America, that effort of creating a cohesive nation will always trump dividing us up. And the American people will not elect Trump because they understand that in this country, we are at our best when we support each other, we help each other. When I'm there for you and you are there for me, when we're there for each other's kids. That sense of togetherness trumps selfishness. And most importantly, I think the people of our great nation have learned much from all of the great religions in this world, whether it is Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism, whatever it may be. And at the end of the day, what all of these religions say is that love trumps hatred. My friends, we are at a moment in history where our country can no longer support establishment politics or establishment economics. We need to go beyond the status quo. We need a political revolution where millions of people become deeply engaged in the political process and the fight for the future of our nation. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it alone. The powers of Wall Street, of the pharmaceutical industry, of corporate America, of wealthy campaign contributors, of the corporate media are so great that no president can do it alone in terms of doing what has to be done for the middle class and working people of this country. The only way, and I'm the only presidential candidate who will tell you this, the only way we transform America is when millions of people from coast to coast stand up and say loudly and clearly that we need a government that represents all of us, not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors. On Saturday morning, there will be a lot of delegates at stake here in the great state of Washington. I believe that the ideas and the issues we are raising have the support of the overwhelming majority of the people. If you,
and all Washingtonians, come on out on Saturday morning. We are going to win a major victory here, and Washington will be a major step forward to the White House. Thank you all very much.
And that is Bernie Sanders live from Spokane, Washington. Thank you to KHQ.com, and that was courtesy of Kay. Hi, everybody. One of our volunteers in chat. We went through, I think, 4 different streams to bring that to you while we were playing. I shuffled between 4 different places, and Kay brought us this last one, which is from KHQ.com, which is local Spokane. But thank you. This is how we work together. This is how it's done. Help me find a feed. We find a feed. We bring it into chat. I bring it here. Everybody gets to watch together. This is what it takes in a political revolution for us to see and hear Bernie Sanders. And thank you, guys. Looks like they're gonna kill that right there. We got some good news. We talk about Tim Kenova there and his victory with getting the access to the voter database, the VAN database. We'll talk about that article in a second, but you know, I want to play a clip for you guys. If you're gonna hang out for just a minute, play a clip that Rosario Dawson said the other day, and she talks about establishment media, and she talks about the culture there and what's going on, and the fact that the journalists, the news media, the people that work for the establishment, they're scared, they're worried, about the jobs. They're worried about the paychecks, and they have a choice. They know they're in a tough spot. Like this feed today from the local station, this is a local NBC affiliate. The national level of all of the establishments, NBC, ABC, whatever, those guys don't want any of Bernie Sanders anywhere, all right? They are trying desperately to keep Bernie Sanders off primetime, off their channels. Local stations have a little more freedom, and stations like Fox 10 Phoenix, I think, often go out of their way. Maybe they even get in trouble. I don't know. But the local stations are trying to bring Bernie Sanders, and I think there's a lot of battles with journalists right now. I can imagine if you were working for one of these establishment entities, you must be going insane, wanting to report the truth, wanting to be a journalist with integrity, and knowing that if you do, you're probably going to get fired. You're probably not going to last very long at that establishment entity. And I'll run the clip, the Rosario Dawson. But what bottom line is that if you are a journalist and you feel like you're stuck in that position, just know that we've got you. There are other places you can work. Come here. We'll build this network together. There's TYT. There's new networks. Forget the establishment media. The new media is on the web. The new media is of the people. It's right here. Join the independent networks. Don't worry about your jobs with establishment media. Have some integrity. Come over to where the integrity is. Reward integrity. It's a hashtag for that. Reward integrity, everybody. Like I said, Fox 10 Phoenix, and we probably got them in trouble. I mean, their feed ended there. I don't know what happened. It's like cut off. So I hope that the national Fox didn't drop the hammer on them or something, you know. But that's what's going on, folks. We have a corporate battle of information. We are fighting establishment, media, propaganda right now. Doing this, what we are doing right here. This is fighting the establishment. It's political revolution. We shouldn't have to be doing this at all, should we? We should all be able to just tune in casually to Bernie Sanders whenever we damn well please. Right? So, let's, Fox 10 does not equal Fox News. Exactly. Fox 10 does not equal Fox News. Let's get that straight. Thank you. TYT did a fantastic job. TYT, the Cenk Uygur interview with Bernie Sanders was the most enjoyable interview of Bernie Sanders I have heard to date, because he asked real questions. He got real answers. It wasn't an attack on Bernie Sanders where Bernie had to defend. It was a discussion with the future president of the United States. And I said, just props to Cenk and team for doing that. It was badass. It was historic. And it was thank you. For all establishment journalists, that is what an interview looks like. That's what real journalism looks like. Take note. Try to remember that. That's what it looks like. I know it's been a long time. That's what it looks like. All right. Let's just look at this. Let's look at this Tim Kenova thing, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, because this. Whenever I see something like this, I go, "Wow, maybe there is actually hope that the will of the people in some levels affects change, and we don't have to go all out replacing the whole government in one shot." But here, I'll pull away the thing. There, full frame. The FDP will allow Tim Kenova access to voter file in race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And it just says here, after being denied access to an important voter file that could help this campaign, Democrat Tim Kenova, who is challenging CD23 incumbent Debbie Wasserman Schultz, also known as the woman who has completely ruined the integrity of the DNC, and denied Bernie Sanders access to the voter database, which they are officially suing, that they are going after the DNC for. Right? So Tim is going after it. They denied him the database. We filed petitions. We screamed. We took action. We said that's not right. And establishment media had nothing to do with it. This wasn't brought on the establishment media airwaves, as far as I know. Maybe local Florida. I don't know. Anybody see the story about Tim on any of your establishment media networks? I don't watch them. I can't. I just can't. But that's a victory for us, a victory for the people, a victory for Tim. And if you're in Florida, this is one of the good guys. Tim is a Bernie-crat. And we had him on We the People a few weeks back. You go to Bernie2016.tv, look for the We the People playlist. We try to have all of the Bernie-crats on, and we've got a long list. We've got a schedule running for the next 3 months, folks. Join our channel every Wednesday, usually. We didn't have one yesterday. Every Wednesday for We the People. We just had Preston Pickus. We've had John Fetterman. We've had all sorts of great people. Let Valentine. Anyway, join us for that. Let me just make sure there's nothing going on here. Okay, that was the news about that. Let's listen to. I really want you guys to hang out. How many people do we have? How many people are still here? 419 plus. That's great. Fantastic. Thank you all for being here. I want you just to listen to this. This is important. This is as far as I know, we have the only copy of this. And I'm forgetting the big news. If you didn't see it in the scroll, New Yorkers, we need 13,000 more people registered in New York right now. I forgot about that. That's the big important thing. New Yorkers, we've got to get more people registered. So if you're in New York, or if you can phone Bank for New York, there's a message that's been going around. We put it in the lower third. I'll probably have to find it. But go onto the web. Go find it. We want you to... Here, I'll just get this cranking again. We want you to help us get New York going. We need 13,000. The Sanders campaign, Aiden King, social media guy with the campaign, just sent out a message. So it's blasted all over the place. If you're connected, connect.berniesanders.com, berniesanders.com. Find Aiden King on Twitter. Look for that. We've got to register. They want 13,000 more people registered. So they need you to mobilize. This is what we do. We can get Bernie Sanders millions of dollars in less than 24 hours. We set records. We can make phone calls. We can get people registered. We need to do a ton of registering between now and tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. So if you're in New York and you give a shit about your environment and your country and voting for Bernie Sanders and you're not registered, we need your help. Get registered and then help others get registered. So that's the message. Do that right now. That is the goal. We need that push. We need that huge. That is what we need done. This is like the general called down. He said, all troops mobilize. New York, 13,000 registered people by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the deadline. If we flood, I don't know how you register. I don't know the process, so we're gonna have to find that information out. Maybe I'll talk about that later. We have a rally tonight, and I'll get all the details on it. I don't have that right now, but however you register in New York, you need to get it done. That's the bottom line. All of you who want Bernie Sanders to be in office, if you are not registered, you need to do it now, and you need to go find your friends and tell them to register right now. Bribe them, do whatever it takes. Get them to register. You've got till tomorrow to do it. New York is counting on you not doing it. This is how the establishment wins. Okay? So please help us do that. We need that to happen. Now, before I lose you all, nice. So we had 420. I notice I'm losing some people. Before I lose you all and you run off to go do other things, for the sake of history, for the purpose of history, I want you guys, and just, this is a message that needs to be heard. I'm going to play what I understand is the only copy right now of Rosario Dawson talking about Bernie Sanders. And it's a very rousing speech. This was yesterday in LA at the Wiltern Theater. I can't find another copy of this. And the only thing that sucks with the copy of ours is at the very end, at the most important part where she's talking about the establishment media. She's talking about the fear, the culture there, and the worry about losing the job. Exactly what I've been talking about this for months. The real truth behind why big Hollywood stars and establishment media won't feel the burn. Okay. And she nails it. She lays it out. She says it, but what happens is this is a scrape from another website and of a stream. And right as she starts talking about it, there's an alert that comes on the scrape's audio. And so you hear this alert kick in while Rosario Dawson is talking about the establishment narrative. So I want you to listen to this because we can't find another copy. Fox 10 Phoenix had it and they took it down. So this is important because she is speaking truth to power about establishment media. We have the only copy that I'm aware of. I want everybody to try to find a better copy and blast this out because this is the kind of thing that they need to hear. And that's why it's reward integrity. To all journalists out there in establishment media, we will reward integrity. We will not reward remaining with the establishment. Come join us. You're hired over here. With Bernie Sanders, you're hired. Rosario says that. I want you guys to listen to this. Of course, it'd probably help if I had it all ready to go, which I don't. I get all excited about it. It really works better when you prep everybody for something and then you actually have it. So here, listen to it. And this was right as the event was starting. So here we go.
That are still getting acid thrown in their faces because they want to go to school, let alone vote. Now, what we have to do is really simple. We have to keep talking to each other. Keep inspiring each other, keep encouraging each other, because obviously the corporate media is not doing that. And I want you to consider something. Why are they doing that? When the DNC only had 6 scheduled debates, when in 2008 there were 26. Why do you think that is? Because Bernie Sanders doesn't have a brand name. He's true. He doesn't have a household name. What he has is a message and a vision. And the more time that he gets to speak to people, the more people feel like they finally have someone to vote for, not against. So we have to keep spreading his message among ourselves. A positive message. Because there's so much to look forward to. I am so encouraged by this. The youth is always on the right side of history, and here you are. Young and old, across generations, across culture, across language, you're all coming together. That's not the painting that's not the painting that they're showing us, but that is the reality. So we need to keep organizing, and we need to understand that there is something very particular happening right now. Because if we have something to vote against, and we are told to dismiss Bernie from even the conversation, then what we are left is someone that we feel, or we are being told, that we just have to vote for so that we don't have the other, as opposed to actually looking into their record and talking about the substantive issues. Because when we look at the issues, we know exactly who we want to vote for. When someone talks to you and says, well, you know, we got to think about the general election, we got to vote against Trump. Go, exactly. If he becomes the nominee, because that's not even true yet. But if he does, then vote Bernie. I'm Bernie or bust. And love trumps hate. That is what we bring to the conversation. So make sure that you are making it your business to get people registered and to get people to the polls to vote. Because it is not enough to just like this on Facebook. It's not enough to just march unless you are marching to the polls. We have to take back our country and show the world what it really looks like. It looks like a movement. It looks like a vision of positivity for the future, where we are all looking out for each other, not me, us. The media and the establishment are afraid of Trump because he has a groundswell, despite the media bias, of people who are behind him because he is not establishment. And he is pointing at the establishment and the corporate media and saying, you're fired. Yeah. Drawing a line in the sand and saying, you're fired. Why Bernie has my vote? Yeah. Is because he's turning to all of us and saying, you're hired. Yeah.
It's a short break in the transmission, and it comes back.
All right, then, let's get to work. And one more thing. Understand that there's a culture behind this. People are afraid. The corporate media is afraid of losing their jobs. The establishment's afraid of losing their jobs. They are being told, believe me, the unspoken, but anyone who's a part of that culture understands, there's an unspoken little hashtag that's going around saying loyalty will be rewarded.
In the air and on the street.
We need to let them
Police
know
in a manhunt for
that
this runaway
integrity
terrorist
will be
trying
rewarded.
to stop him before he strikes again. His name unknown, but we do know his
Speaking of
companions.
integrity,
Sources in Belgium
please
say
welcome
the man
to
on
the
the left
stage
is the master
our
bomber
future
from
president,
Brussels and Paris.
Senator Bernie Sanders.
The man in the middle. Both died in the airport.
All right, so you heard there what I was talking about. She said there's a secret hashtag going around, she says, that says loyalty will be rewarded. The establishment media, excuse me, afraid of losing their jobs, right? Loyalty will not be rewarded with the 99. As Rosario says, integrity will be rewarded. That's the only copy that I know of, although I've been told there's another one floating around, which is great. Just know that, folks. You heard it from somebody who's in that loop. She's taking a risk herself by saying that. And that's why it's not available. That's what, I mean, Fox 10 normally doesn't pull that kind of stuff. They pulled that. NBC clipped out a chunk of it. They clipped out the chunk where she disses the DNC, but they didn't make any mention of that part at the end, right? No mention of that because that refers to them. Oh yeah, thank you, Rosario, for reminding me that I'm one of those people that has to make that choice. Shouldn't be much of a choice for any of them. If they want to remain journalists after this election, they should really just have some integrity, because we're going to replace journalists that choose loyalty with the establishment with journalists that are for the people and want to tell the truth for a change. Right? We're tired of the establishment narrative. We need to see the truth. We need a transparent and open government, a transparent and open world. That's what we're working for with Bernie Sanders. It's a new way. Excuse me. Anyway, folks, I've been looking at some emails and some stuff going on. And right now, excuse me so much. I'm sorry. I had to cough there a little bit. That's all I wanted to go through. I just wanted to cover that, show you that, let you know what was going on. The New York thing is super critical. We've got to get out, get people registered in New York, find that message in social, and make sure you help push it. If you're one of the people that can phone bank, face bank, talk to friends in New York, if you're in New York, please, that is the big push. That is like the military movement that the campaign has asked us to move forward with. We are here we do the carpet bombing of the web with truth, and that's the message we need to push. It's coming out from the campaign. Help us with that. We will see you later. There's another rally tonight. That's in, oh man, I'm not going to remember. I think it's in Yakima. We have another rally tonight in Yakima. That's going to start at 7 p.m. Pacific. That would be 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll probably start streaming 6:45-ish. And we'll cover some news, talk about any updates and information on any of the stuff we have going on, and have a good time together. That's it, folks. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. We had a great conversation, great chat, wonderful chat mods. This volunteer network doesn't function without a whole bunch of people you never see. They're all doing amazing things, gathering news, verifying that it's real, making media, creating rundowns, preparing clips, going out into the field, interviewing people, putting together data, organizing events. There are so many things that happen, and not the very most important, chat monitors and mods who keep this conversation the best conversation on the net. This is why we're here. This is what we do. If you've had a problem, and I think I just received an email about that. We work very hard at keeping our chat to be honest and transparent. We don't allow hate speech, but we also allow people to have opinions. So if you were offended by something somebody said, as long as it wasn't hate speech, we're going to probably let it fly. But we also try to keep the conversation relevant. So if whatever's being said has no relevance to what's going on, we're eventually going to remove you from the conversation, time you out for a while, because we want the conversation to be about the topic, not about other stuff. That's what we're here for. So thank you for joining the conversation. What we try to foster is great comments, because it's the good comments that our mods look for to grab and put into the lower third, which is what I display. So give me great comments, and most of you do, and we show them on the lower third, and we keep this the most awesome conversation on the web. So thank you for being here. I will see you a little later for the rally in Yakima, and then tomorrow is our insane day, starting with the newsroom, and then we have a Bernie rally in Portland, which I'm hoping we get some live footage, possibly from Jesse, who will be on the ground, hopefully at the event. I'm very jealous. And then we have a special event, and I just got confirmation that at 3 in the afternoon, so this is 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, we will have a special guest, David Spratt. He is the author of, I believe it's called Code Red, Climate Code Red. It's a book in 2008 about the global warming. He's also just written another paper about the Paris Climate Summit, and very critical of that. And we're going to talk about the actual data. We're going to learn from an expert the real data, what's really going on with our climate. We're going to talk about this because new models suggest, they don't suggest, new models tell us that the old models we've been using, telling us we have 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this imaginary number of years before everything gets really bad, is bullshit. We don't have that much time at all. New data indicates we're pretty screwed, really, really screwed. And we're going to talk to, I say that's a hopeful, I'm not trying to say it's hopeless. We got to get our act together, folks. We've got to move faster than anybody thinks. We don't have a casual 10 years to put this plan into action. Okay? Planet dying, we are in danger. Bottom line. Okay, so we're going to talk with them 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's going to be a Frack Off Friday special. David Spratt, he's in Australia, so it's 9 a.m. Saturday for him. I love that kind of shit. And the time zones with this whole booking of thing is just insane. I got to tell you. And then we have another rally. Bernie will be in Seattle. This is the big one. Tomorrow night, Bernie will be in Seattle. He's at the Safeco Stadium, I think it is, like where the Mariners play. This is going to be huge. We're pretty sure Don't quote me on this at all, but we're pretty sure there's going to be a band, some kind of a concert, an opening act. And we have our own BTV volunteer, Sean Porter, who's been with us a long time. And Sean will be there with the Live View solo unit. We have it. We've got it tested. He's going to be there. We should be using it. This is just, I got to say this, because of the size of this, because they're doing a stadium, because I think they're having a band, I think they're having an opening band or something. Sean has press credentials to get in. We're going to try to use the solo to capture everything. We're going to attempt to get board direct audio and make it a badass night. Because of the magnitude of the event, because of the fact that it's at a stadium and all of these other mitigating factors, I just don't, I'm not going to guarantee it, but man, it's looking really good. That's what I'll say. So hopefully you'll join us tomorrow for that badassery with Sean Porter live from Safeco Arena in Seattle with Bernie Sanders and who knows what, because that's just huge. That's a huge place to put Bernie, right? So we've got 4 events tomorrow. Join us for all of those starting 9 a.m. Pacific. And today, join me at 7 p.m. or a little bit before, 6:45. We'll talk about some news and then watch Bernie Sanders in Yakima, Washington. I'm going to go out with something. Well, I ran this the other day. Do I want to go out again? It's like that's the parody. I had a couple things pulled up, some different stuff. There were some new things, but I already ran the one. Here, we'll do this one. This was cute. Hold Me Closer, Bernie Sanders. Go out with this. This is Pundit, a revised tribute anthem video with lyrics by Pundit. It's a parody. This is fun. It's I can't even think of the guy's name. Too tired, folks. I'll see you later. Enjoy the music. Feel the burn.
Brooklyn, baby, dad immigrated, Polish American Jew, 4-eyed, hair of white, got 'em shaking in their shoes. Goldman Lehman won't know what hit him. He will clean up Wall Street's mess. And now we're with him, always with him. Bernie Sanders is my prayer. Burning
huge